Hey guys, welcome back. So in our first section of me making my video game, I like to start with making a character. So we're going to start chapter 1. We're learning, or I'm learning, hopefully you're either learning or watching this to show me some advice, characters for games. What is my workflow? So, to be completely honest, my first attempts were absolutely abysmal. I tried to model everything right away. I tried to rig everything, animate everything, load it into the game. And then after I loaded everything into the game, I started seeing all my horrible mistakes. And as I went to go back and try to fix one small thing at a time, I continued to mess things up that happened after that original point that I made the mistake. So I was starting completely over on everything. This happened in the animation station, in the rigging phase, and the modeling phase. And so this linear pipeline of doing one thing to the next clearly was not working. So I moved to a revised workflow, a workflow that's a little bit more like a studio, to where as soon as I get my model or whatever I'm currently working on to the minimum distance to where I can send it on to the next department, as an indie game developer, I kind of switch hats into that next department and I go there and I figure out the basics of it. So the best way to explain this is I've completed my model to the minimum point to where I can send it to a rigger to start rigging it and to start working with that. Now in a studio, that might happen right away, and then the rigger gets it and he or she is working on the rig and realize that there's something that needs to be changed with the model. Something's just not working. The rigger and the modeler can talk about that and adjustments can be made and then be redelivered. When I was doing it by myself in a linear pipeline, completing the model 100% and then going straight into rigging, that was not working well for me, because if I got into rigging and something was messed up, I had to redo all of my modeling. So now I do things in a parallel workflow rather than a linear workflow, and I try to catch mistakes early and often and save my files in a way and keep organized in a way that I can go back and adjust things quickly. And so I'm going to talk about some of those workflow tips. Basically, what I'm doing is creating a very well organized folder structure where all my FBXs are clearly labeled and I know what file is which, and I can update certain things with the same naming convention so that whatever file I'm working on, I can just go in there, refresh the project, and all those things are loaded back in. So the number one thing that has helped me out is good, clear, and concise folder structure and naming. And then after that, I basically create a base model. As soon as that's done and I'm not going to make any more major changes to the forms, create a base rig, tweak that base model, go back to the rig, just keep working back and forth, growing the project together. And so that's basically the idea that I carry on throughout this whole thing, is not getting so far ahead of myself that going back and making changes becomes very, very difficult for me. So what is my very, very first step? Very, very first step, create well-organized folder structure with versionings and names. Doesn't really matter what it is as long as you understand what it is and it's something you can understand. You know, as an indie developer, you're doing this in your spare time most likely. Are you going to remember what you were doing a month from now? So you might want to add in some notes, a little Word document or a notepad or Apple Pages, whatever it is. Write some notes on what you worked on that day. So if you unexpectedly don't get to work on your project for another month, you come back, open up your notes. All right, awesome. This is where I was. This is where I was working on. This is where all my files are. Awesome. Good to go. So after that, when we're actually developing the character, what kind of character am I making? I like to think through things immediately from the start, and then from here start concepting and developing my character. So with these questions in mind, I'm asking myself, is this a hero character? How detailed does it need to be? It's a main playable character. Does it need to be stylized, customizable? Because these are going to affect the kind of decisions I'm making. When it comes to, is he going to have extra limbs that I need to rig? For my character, he's going to have a beard and a ponytail. I'm going to need to rig those. What if I had a fairy with wings? I would need to rig those wings. How am I going to do that? I'm keeping a thought process on all the technical steps that are going to go into building this character out. Then we get into the actual model creation, which we'll talk about in the next video. The different steps that need to go in to just getting a model made and ready to be rigged, and then some different resources you can go to if you are just starting out and you're trying to make these things. Alrighty, thank you. See you next time.